Presidential approval triggers enhanced welfare for the Nigerian police.
NNPC gets new financial reporting standards.
President Buhari says aggrieved APC members are at liberty to seek redress in court.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, our focus is on 2019 and the next level.
Days ago, Nigerians received news about the All Progressives Congress APC's direction for the next level.
All right, Joy. Now, this plan came as a manual, that is to say, the party's campaign manual for the 2019 general elections.
The next level document captures the aspirations and projections of the APC for the next 4 years.
And it seeks to pursue 5 agendas, and these include jobs, infrastructure development, business entrepreneurship, political inclusion, and human capital enhancement in areas such as healthcare and education.
Now, Kingsley, recall that while campaigning for office in 2015, the APC committed to real change in what the party does and how it accomplishes its goals. It was an ambitious plan for a secure, prosperous, and corruption-free Nigeria. Invariably, this informed President Buhari's optimism that the past few years have put the party in good stead to move to the next level.
That's right, Joy. Now, at the launch of Next Level, President Buhari made Nigerians to understand that they had a clear choice to either sustain the building of a new country or return to its past, favored only by an opportunistic few.
Now, prior to its success at the polls in 2015, the APC's campaign was hinged on tackling insurgency, ensuring sustainable agriculture, and expanded national social welfare scheme, amongst other targets. Now, is this next level different from the change agenda? What is the next level proposed by the APC, and how does the party plan on achieving this feat? We have guests to speak to the issues as we take a look at 2019 and the APC's next level. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria. I am Joy Usiagu. We're reaching you live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA, from Abuja, Nigeria's capital city.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo. I joined my colleague Joy in also welcoming you to today's edition of the program, and because of which we shall, of course, bring you our regular complimentary segments, and there's our municipal review, business, sports, foreign, and others. In the meantime, let's join Jumai Yusuf, who gives us the highlights of the morning news. Hi, Jumai.
Hello, Kingsley and Joy. Good morning, Nigeria. Here's the morning news. The federal government says it will continue to adequately attend to the welfare and other operational requirements of the Nigerian police with a view to restoring the lost primacy of the force regarding Nigeria's internal security framework. President Muhammadu Buhari gave the assurance at an audience with members of the Nigerian Police Service Commission and the leadership of the police force on a thank-you visit following his approval of an enhanced welfare package for the police force.
Here purposely on behalf of the Police Service Commission to appreciate the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for seeing it necessary to enhance the welfare of the police.
I feel elated, and I believe that is something that is done in the right direction. You know, just like you said, you know, we are looking at improving not only the salary, but even the training and other aspects of the policing.
Vice President Yemi Oshibajo says Securities and Exchange Commission Association across Africa and beyond have a contributory role towards ensuring that the African economy is on a positive trajectory through better intra-African trade and foreign direct investment for sustainable economic growth in the continent. He stated this during the 22nd African Securities and Exchanges Association Conference in Lagos.
As we all know, is the last frontier for virgin economic opportunities. We also realize the importance of a sustainable future, and we've become one of the first, if not outrightly, the first African government to float a green bond to promote the environmental objectives of our economic recovery and growth plan.
Now, experts in the water sector are advocating a code of conduct to regulate drilling of boreholes and an adequate monitoring of blasts to save Nigeria from future earth tremor. This was at a meeting of Ministers of Water Resources and Agriculture and Rural Development with members of water well drilling rig owners and practitioners held in Abuja.
The major problems that I see that has been happening is that we drill boreholes, we don't have the logs, we don't have the water quality test results. There is no central database, there is no data bank. So this regulation is very important. First, to regulate the quality of the people that do the drilling.
In another development, Minister of Power, Works and Housing Babatunde Raji Fashola says besides the gains of improved power delivery, his ministry has gained much experience of better ways to handle power projects for enhanced efficiency.
Clearly, this boosts our incremental power objective, and we're on our way. It's just going to take those man-hours and those challenges to get where we're going. But if you look back to where we were a year and a half or so when I came here and where we are, clearly there has been progress.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has stressed that if anyone is displeased with the way and manner anything has been done and feels deprived of his or her rights, such a person is at liberty to approach the courts for redress. A statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, says this is the President's response to the position of All Progressives Congress, which recently forbade members from taking the party to court. The President said the court should always be the last resort for displaced persons in any electoral process, and that it is not acceptable for the party to outlaw the court process. In the meantime, the people of Benue State say they have no alternative to President Buhari and other APC candidates in the state. This was at a special rally in support of the re-election of President Buhari in the 2019 general elections.
School feeding programs, you look at anchor borrowers scheme, you look at rail system, you look at roads. There's so much of this social welfare scheme.
The Nigerian Labour Congress is urging the federal government to fast-track the process of sponsoring an executive bill to the National Assembly for a quick consideration of the new National Minimum Wage Bill. President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Ayuba Waba, made the call during the opening ceremony of a one-week NLC Hamathon School 2018 holding in Abuja.
Let government also make their timeline available to all of us so that we will be certain whether we're on the same page or not. But clearly, remaining silent without also informing us about the timeline will not be helpful in this situation. And therefore, we demand that there should be a timeline so that this 30,000 will be in the pocket of Nigerian workers.
That's the news for now. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Joy and Kinsley after this break.
Thanks for staying with us on Good Morning Nigeria. Now let's take some business news. Minister of Finance Zainab Ahmed has promised to leave no stone unturned in ensuring that the federal accounts allocation sharing formula is looked at to reflect the yearnings of the people. This was at the National Council of Finance, where a new reporting standard for the NNPC was disclosed. Chimobi Walter Naji is standing by with details of this and more on Business News.
Key players in the nation's finance management system have converged on Kaduna for 2018 edition of the National Conference on Finance and Economic Development. The conference is aimed at galvanizing ideas to forge a better pathway for the economic outlook of the country.
So it's specifically for NNPC reporting, because in the past, the information that comes from NNPC is not clear. The revenues that are generated, and even more worrisome, is not clear the expenses related to those revenues. So we agreed that template, and the President has approved it, and we have put it to use. This is the first pack that that template is being used. And already we have been, because of this template, been able to get more clarity on NNPC operating expenses. So we expect that this template will help us to actually realize more revenue from the oil and gas sector.
Most of the public finance laws we have in Nigeria are from 1958. What we did in Kaduna was to sit and look at them and update them. We enacted our public finance management and control law in 2016, and I urge other states to do the same. The federal government also needs to look at the Finance Management and Control Act of 1958 and bring it up to the 21st century. I think it's not very difficult to do this. I know that work has been going on it. I know that as far as 2-3 years ago, there was a draft bill already that just needs to be finalized. But I think at the end of the day, what states need to do is to capture more and more people into the tax net, because unless you know who lives in your state, what he does, what he or she does, you'll not be able to not only plan for them, plan social programs for them, but also how to tax them, because people must contribute to the running of government and to the provision of social services through taxes.
Meanwhile, the federal government, through the Ministry of Budget and National Planning, has disclosed that through the Economic Recovery Growth Plan, ERGP, initiated about 1.5 years ago, about $4.7 billion investment has been identified in agriculture and transport-focused labs, with a potential to create about 129,000 jobs. The Minister of Budget and National Planning, Senator Udoma, while analyzing the progress so far recorded after the organization of Focus Labs meeting for investors in Abuja held in March this year, said the project is a way to go. Here is a graphic representation of closing figures on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. In Abuja, Chimobi Walter Naji, NT News.
Thank you very much, Chimobi, for the update on business news. And Good Morning Nigeria, our newspaper review segment is next on the program.
And our newspaper reviewer, Bayo Atuevi, is in the studio with us this morning. Good morning, Bayo.
Thank you, Joy. Good morning.
Welcome.
Good morning, Kingsley. Good morning, Nigeria.
All right, Bayo, good to see you.
Thank you.
Let's begin by taking a look at the front page of the Daily Independent newspaper. The front page, of course, is quite busy with a number of stories. And I'll start from the top right to the foot of the front page. Above the nameplate of Daily Independent, federal government makes U-turn, says it can't stop fuel importation 2019. Strike, ASU federal government meeting deadlocked. The lead story says Buhari, that should be overrules Oshomole and NWC, National Working Committee, over APC primaries, says aggrieved members free to approach court. And the other headlines there, military overburdened by police negligence of duty, says Buhari. Approve salary adjustments for ranking officers. That's on page 10. UNN, that's the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, to award 400 PhDs at 48th convocation. Page 11. And 2,000 Nigerians drowned in Mediterranean Sea. And probe and leave Fayoshe in God's hands. That's according to Ekiti Governor Fayemi. Second lead story, right at the foot of the front page, Nigeria risks losing $6 billion to Malabu oil deal. And bad omen for oil sector growth. That's according to stakeholders. Joy.
All right, let's go quickly to the Nigerian pilots. The front page is equally busy. The lead story there says, Buhari or Shomole differ, and it comes with a couple of riders. You can't take party or any of its officials to court. That comment is attributed to Oshomole. No party can't stop aggrieved members from seeking redress, and that's coming from President Buhari. Says APC can't deny members their rights. Jettisons Tinubu's Reconciliation Committee. You can get details of that story on page 4 of the Nigerian Pilot. We have a similar story on the front page of the Daily Sun, so let's take a look at it. If you look beside the nameplate, it says, Party primaries, President faults Oshomole. Says aggrieved APC members can go to court. Details on page 6. Now, let's return to the Pilot, the Nigerian Pilot newspaper for stories trending on the front page. Below the picture story there, we have a couple of stories. Zamfara suspends all development projects, sanctions for traditional rulers. Killings, Otom may drag Akume before Tiv Traditional Council over utterances. Peace in NAS necessary for progress, says Saraki. 13 parents convicted in Niger over underage marriages. And Ochanya says Women Development Center to open sex offenders register. Bayo.
Well, there's good news for the Nigerian police. The president has approved an increase in the salary of the Nigerian police force. In fact, what the president approved is described as rank salary structure adjustment. And the president says the priority is to the welfare and operational needs of the police. And he says from Taraba up to Sokoto and up to the South, Nigerians don't feel secure until they see the military. He says, I am pleased to make the increase in salary and allowances in the hope that it will increase the performance of the Nigerian police. And he says that there's need to strengthen Nigeria's internal security system, and the only instrument of doing that is the police. The commissioner, a commissioner in the Police Service Commission representing the chairman, says that the rank salary structure adjustment will enhance police welfare and also boost the morale of the officers and men in the service. President Muhammadu Buhari has also said that aggrieved aspirants and members of the APC have a right to seek redress in court if they feel that they have been deprived of their right. This was made known in a press statement by the Special Advisor to the President of Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina. And the President says that only last week, the ADC had directed that all aggrieved members, especially aspirants who lost during the primaries, to use internal party dispute resolution mechanism instead of dragging the party to the court. But however, the newspapers are saying that the president said has overruled the party. We agreed that the party primaries will be conducted either by direct, indirect, or consensus. If anyone feels unjustly treated in the process, such a person can go to court. We can't deliberately deny people their right. It's not the first time the president is overruling the party. You may recall that in March, the National Working Committee of the party had actually extended the tenure of the former chairman by 1 year. And the president came out to say it was unlawful. So the president is playing by the law and insisting that you can recall that he has been to court not once, not twice, not 3 times.
That's right.
And therefore, he respects the right of other people to seek redress in court. There is also a good news for the NTA. Usually, we in the media usually don't blow our own trumpet, as it is said. But the NTA has undergone a memorandum of understanding with the Nigerian Nigeria communication satellite, which by implication means that they will now henceforth be using the C-band of Nigecomsat for broadcast of its services to Africa, to the world, and to Nigerians. The Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority says this is partly to fulfill the policy of government of patronizing the services and services of Nigeria as a means of developing the economy. Nigeria loses about 720 billion annually due to low patronage of satellite services. And you recall that Nigeria, in alliance with China, has launched 2 of its satellites in the orbit, and it is there crying for patronage in the substance. So this initiative by the NTA is going a long way to boost mutual interest in the economy of the 2 agencies. The managing director of the Nigecomsat, Abimbola Alale, says that the Nigecomsat will lease a C-band transponder to the services of the Nigerian Television Authority.
All right, Joy. Yeah,
okay, let's go back to the Daily Sun. Let's see some of the stories trending on the front page. The lead story there says, 2019, no support for Buhari Atiku, says UK government. And it comes with a rider. British government vows to remain neutral. And below it, you see a picture story of Governor Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna State with Hadiza Balarabe and Minister of Finance Zainab Ahmed at the 2018 National Council on Finance Economic Development Conference in Kaduna yesterday. And a couple of stories beside the picture. Peace in NAS necessary for national interest. That comment is attributed to the Senate President Saraki. Salary increase for police. Zamfara suspends 4 monarchs for aiding bandits. And a little bit below the picture story, NBC warns politicians against hate speech. Details on page 43. Kingsley?
All right, we'll take a look at the daily asset. The lead story is still on the loss of the Malabu, loss of some amount of money. Nigeria loses $6 billion in Malabu oil deal. That's the lead story. Above the nameplate says Kaduna benefits 13.5 billion naira from federal government social investment. I never said I'll probe Fayoshe, says Governor Fayame, page 34. And federal government tasks states on fiscal discipline and overhead costs. Army releases 154 Boko Haram members in Northeast. That's on page 10 of the Daily Asset newspaper. And right to the foot of the front page of the paper, PDP accuses Defense Minister of diverting military funds for APC campaign in 2019 and rise in politically motivated killings, page 35.
Well, Zamfara has taken bold initiative about those that is alleged to have complicity in cattle rustling, kidnapping, and also banditry in his territory. A district head of Ruwan Bora in Talata Mafara, as well as 3 village heads in Bukuyum local government, have been suspended. It is the Commissioner for Chieftaincy Affairs and Local Government, Alhaji Bello Dankande Gamji, who made the announcement, also awarded 3 persons who have succeeded in seizing 3 AK-47 rifles with 3 million. You know, cash for guns policy of Zamfara state government is finding in is getting the state government to recover rifles from bandits across the states. Meanwhile, there is concern expressed by the World Health Organization that Nigeria has recorded 1,640 suspected cases of yellow fever. However, only 41 of them have been confirmed. 7 states are said to have the cases of yellow fever very seriously ingrained: Anambra, Benue, Edo, Federal Capital Territory, Kogi, Nasarawa, and Zamfara State. The executive director of the National Primary Health Care Development Agency, Dr. Faisal Shaibu, says there are about 6 million doses of vaccine that is available now, and vaccination is on. It started in November and will be ending November 22nd and will be ending by December 1st. It is the vaccine is meant for persons from age 9 months up to age 44. I begin to wonder, if you are 44 years old, are you immune from yellow fever? Why is there an age limit in having that vaccine? If you are traveling abroad, yellow fever is one of the vaccines that you have to take, irrespective of whether you are up to age 44 or not. I don't know why there is an age limit about 44 years?
I don't know. I'm not quite sure now. But I know that the yellow fever vaccine used to be valid for 10 years.
Yes, why you
I
have
don't know whether that has been lowered as well.
I think it's still 10.
It's still 10 years.
But
Yes.
the current vaccination going on, there's campaign all over, particularly within the FCT.
Yes.
And the emphasis, in fact, some of them said it's 9 years to 45 years. But the report in the newspaper is saying 9 months to 44 years.
Yes, I think that needs to be clarified.
Yes.
That's who is eligible to take a yellow fever vaccine? That's a simple question to answer.
I don't think diseases respect age.
Of course, although there could be immunity for certain kinds of infections. I'm not sure what exactly, but for this specific one of yellow fever, I think, Bayo, as you have pointed out, it's necessary for the authorities to clarify who should take that. Just wondering, Bayo, there was a story we read yesterday, and that was one of the stories on the front pages. I believe it was Daily Trust. Now, there's a follow-up to that. It has to do with the fact that the membership, the shortfall in the membership of the Revenue Mobilization and Allocation Fiscal Commission seem to have been impeding the work of the commission. Now, there's a follow-up to that story, but we don't have Daily Trust this morning, but we have it on page 44 of the Daily Independent newspaper, and it says absence of commissioners hasn't grounded activities at RMFAC, that's Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission. That's according to the acting chairman, who says that the quorum required for the commission to function is 5 members, but at present they have 7 from different parts of the geopolitical zones, and that was sufficient and is sufficient for them to engage in their routine functions. But if there are vacancies, and these vacancies have been available since November 2015, they ought to be filled.
Yes.
That's one. And secondly, then very quickly from the foreign scene, Oprah Winfrey has lost her mom. Oh. She passed away at age 83. That was in Milwaukee.
All right, let's go quickly to our editorial for today, and it's taken from the Daily Trust newspaper. It's titled Super Eagles 2019 AFCON Ticket. After missing out on back-to-back editions of the African Cup of Nations, the Super Eagles recently booked their ticket for the Biennial Championship next year in Cameroon. Now, the Eagles played a 1-1 draw against Bafana Bafana in Johannesburg, penultimate Saturday, which ensured their qualification for the tournament despite one more game to play in the qualifying series since winning the 2013 edition of the AFCON. The Super Eagles failed to qualify for the 2015 and 2017 editions. President Muhammadu Buhari hailed the Eagles' qualification for the 2019 African Cup of Nations, describing it as commendable. Now, being the continental football showpiece, it is expected that the African Cup of Nations in Cameroon will elicit all kinds of nationalistic passion and enthusiasm across the continent, and the significance of football to Nigeria as its most unifying factor cannot be overemphasized. Thus, the federal government should do the needful to support and motivate the national team in its quest for continental glory. Bayo.
Yes, 4:30, before I go to the editorial on the Super Eagles, 4:30 today, the Super Falcons will be playing a first leg of the semi-final they are required to play before they qualify for the final. And to motivate them, the Nigeria Football Federation has said that $9,000 is available for them if they win the 2 matches. For the semi-finals, they are taking on Cameroon. If they win, there is a bonus of $4,000. And if they qualify to play the winner between Mali and South Africa, there is $5,000 each for each player if they are able to win. The Falcons are they've been the 8-time champions of African Women Championship.
I'm sure they will be encouraged to even break their legs.
The last edition, incidentally, they won it in Cameroon when Cameroon was hosting, and Cameroon is their obstacle now to qualify for the semi-finals tonight. Now, coming to the Super Eagles. The Super Eagles, as the editorial indicated, were not in the 2015 and 2017 edition of the African Cup of Nations. And most Nigerians were lamenting that they have to watch other African nations play in the biennial continental championship. This time around, the editorial is saying that all the necessary encouragement should be given to the Super Eagles so that they can win. And they have observed that the team is doing well because they noted that since after the World Cup, 2 key players have not been in the team, and the team has been able to sustain and keep on their winning streaks, and that has led to the qualification. Also, it is also interesting that President Muhammad Buhari once remarked that football seems to like me. When he was first in power, that was when Nigeria won the first ever Under-17 World Cup. And when he returned to power, Nigeria won the Under-20. This time, the only one that Nigeria has not won during his tenure is the Super Eagles winning the Continental Championship. The Super Eagles have been 4 times the winners of the African Championship.
All right, Bayo, thank you very much for joining us this morning for our newspaper review.
Thank you for having me.
We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll dig into our topic for this morning, APC's Next Level. Stay with us.
All right, you're welcome back. But if you just joined us, it's Good Morning Nigeria, and we are reaching you live, as always, on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Our conversation this morning has to do with the next level, which, of course, is the campaign manual of the All Progressives Congress for next year's general elections. As a prompt for that conversation, we already have our guests in the studios. Let's join our correspondent, Adamu Sambo, to usher into the topic.
4 years ago, we promised Nigerians real change.
The road may have been difficult, but President Muhammadu Buhari said the governing APC has in the last 3.5 years laid the foundation for a strong, stable and prosperous Nigeria. He said although the foundational works is neither glamorous nor often visible, but given the depth of decay, deterioration and despair that Nigeria had sunk into, such works are vital towards achieving the kind of country everyone desires.
We are certain that these first few years have put us in good stead to press on the next level of building an even stronger nation for our people.
The governing APC, he said, has clearly delivered on its pre-election promises of securing the country, fighting corruption, and resuscitating the economy through diversification.
We implemented a responsible and transparent fiscal plan for the challenging economic times that saw us doing more, even with lesser oil revenues. Grand-scale corruption perpetrated at the highest level of government is now a thing of the past. The nation's wealth is now being invested in capital projects to expand infrastructure and connect people, goods, and opportunities by rail, road, and air. Through the National Social Investment Program, we are providing direct support to over 13 million Nigerians who need it.
Despite the giant strides, President Muhammadu Buhari acknowledged that there is still much to do, and the next level of efforts will focus on job creation across the various sectors, and the people that are still in poverty will have a direct way out and up through the expanded social investment programs, as well as an end to the farmers-herders conflicts being cynically manipulated by political actors.
Perhaps our biggest ambition yet is the overhaul of our education sector. Every child counts. We will remodel 10,000 schools every year.
Nigeria, the president said, more than ever before, needs a stable and people-focused government to move the development of the country forward.
The achievements and projections I have enumerated above are just a summary of what we have done and what we intend to do in our next term.
The high point of the event was the launch of the campaign manual containing major achievements and experiences to guide supporters of the APC, as well as the next level document capturing the aspirations and projections of the governing party for the next 4 years.
Now, joining us in the studio to talk about the next level, talking about 2019 APC's next level, is The spokesperson Buhari Campaign Organization, Festus Keyamo, a senior advocate of Nigeria, Director and Strategic Communications of President Muhammadu Buhari Campaign. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Also here with us in the studio is the former Deputy Governor, Abia State, and member, APC Board of Trustees, Dr. Chris Akomas. Dr. Chris, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, Nigeria.
We also have here in our Abuja studio, Ibrahim Modibo, a public affairs analyst and chairman, Board of Editors, Verbatim Magazine. Thanks for joining us on Good Morning, Nigeria.
Good morning, Nigeria. Thank you. All right, gentlemen, once again, welcome to the program. Let's begin straight away by asking the London Senior Advocate Festus Keyamo, who is Director of Strategic Communication of the President Muhammadu Buhari Campaign Organization. What is the next level?
Well, it's all about deepening and expanding the progress so far made by the Buhari administration in the last 3.5 years. And so it is an administration that is already looking forward to a second term if Nigerians are gracious enough to give it that mandate. And so the second level is the preparedness of the Buhari administration to do more in various areas that it has concentrated its efforts so far in the last 3.5 years. The Buhari administration has expended so much time and energy in developing critical infrastructure. Now, there's no time in the history of this country that a government has decided to be focused on that particular area of our economy, because there's a direct correlation between developing critical infrastructure and economic prosperity of a nation. Now, people must differentiate between just infrastructure and critical infrastructure. We use those words advisedly, critical infrastructure. And by that we mean rail, roads, and power. Those are the critical infrastructure that, reflates an economy. Because on those three, those tripod, can a nation develop? Because one, it targets micro, small, and medium-scale industries. When you make power constant, you concentrate on power. If you concentrate on rail and roads, it makes mobility of goods and services better, and as such, you jumpstart small businesses and even big businesses. So those are the critical infrastructure they have concentrated on. As time goes on, I'm going to expand my explanation on this program in respect of these areas and what have been done in specific terms. This is just a general opening statement.
Thank you very much for your opening statement, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Festus Keyamo. Let's go quickly to Dr. Chris Akomas. You listened to him talk about the critical infrastructure that this administration has focused on. Now, let's hear from you. What are the feelers you're getting from the electorate? Are they having a feel of this infrastructure we're talking about?
Yeah, thank you very much. The electorates are the ones that actually move about. They're the ones that are always on the streets, on our roads, and in various areas of our lives, just as we move. But when you talk about critical infrastructure, people, only limit themselves to what they know and the areas they have seen things happen. Now, talking about roads, there are several roads construction, projects going on across the country, in the west, in the north, in the east, in the south. So people are beginning to have the feelers. They are seeing things, but our mentality is when it is all done. And sometimes people tend to think that If you start a road project today, you complete it tomorrow. It takes time, but the good thing about what is happening is that all the projects that are ongoing are continuous, they are consistent, and you can see the quality. That is for the roads. He mentioned about the railways. That's where I'm coming to. He talked about the railways. Already, people are enjoying the benefit of the work and jobs that have been done within the railway system. People traveling between Abuja to Kaduna have a lot of friends who, before now, would prefer to fly or go by road. But now they just park their cars, jump into the train, go, come back. And people do it even, sometimes they come and go by the same day. And you have this, the rail system now that takes people from town to the airport. These are things we see out there when we travel out, that we've been struggling with to achieve, and they are being achieved. There is something unique about the Tape railway, system, and this offer of people having a free experience, free ride for some time. Do you know that we have children that have never experienced what going on a train ride is before? They read about it, they think about it. It's like, those educational nursery rhymes and things, A for apple and all that. And it takes so long before you see apple, unlike these days. We used to sing all those things. But now, these things are brought to the people. They are experiencing it, they are feeling it, and that is why there is this clamor for things to, continue to. And if you must achieve, bring it down to yourself. If you have an important project to do within the family or for yourself, you must experience some discomfort. And this discomfort is temporary. It's small, and then you enjoy the big thing. And that is what people misunderstand sometimes. So for me, on the streets, within the grassroots, the people are feeling the effect. But of course, what they expect to happen is what this next level will now provide, so that they can have because going to the next level is making what is happening now more robust and more people, impacting. That's what.
All right, Dr. Chris Akomas, thank you very much also for your opening salvo. But while you were trying to justify what the experience has now been with regard to the enjoyment of rail services by children who only previously had read about it or heard about it, you were saying that, of course, it was similar to the alphabetical rendering in the nursery rhyme, say A for apple, B for ball. I mean, there's been a latest campaign, and this is just, by the way, as the senior advocate will know, it's an obiter. It should no longer be A for apple. It should be A for akara or A for akamo. There's no way you go to Nigeria where you don't know what akara means.
That's what I mean.
So, yeah.
And it's about bringing in the...
Yes, unless you are in the Mambila Plateau, and if you grow apple there, you can recognize apple.
Yes,
and that's a touch of local content.
Local content.
Yes, if you can just give me a second.
Yes.
There is an aspect of the people feeling the effort. I come from Abia. Area is a huge market for West Africa, for Africa actually. You need to see the impact of these targeted power projects. Area happen to be one of the areas where the pilot power project is ongoing. If you see the impact and the meaning of that to the people, and you now think of what will happen when this is completely done across various locations that this is, you don't even have to talk much, because the people themselves are feeling it, they're seeing it. They now, you've been talking about a regular power supply, uninterrupted power, and here they are feeling it happening. It's wonderful.
All right, Dr. Akomas, thank you very much. You took more than a second. Let's now bring in Ibrahim Modibo into the conversation. Ibrahim Modibo, I mean, you're a political analyst, and we've had you from time to time on Good Morning Nigeria. Taking a step back, what does next level sound like to you?
Well, thank you very much for this wonderful invitation to talk on this wonderful project. In both content and character, next level is next level. I always rhyme myself, or always associate myself with the philosophical dictates of Joe Santayana, the former historian. He said, if experience is not retained, infancy is perpetual. Therefore, next level, it is the transmutation of experience to a larger level. We've seen the performance profile of this president. When he came on board, I've known President Muhammadu Buhari for a very long time. His decision to venture into politics is born out of his patriotic desire to positively respond to our generational challenges. So far, so good. He has steered the leadership of this country with philosophical calmness, and his robust approach to good governance has even put to bay most of his ardent critics. When he came on board, he had three fundamental issues, which is the tripodal structure: fight insecurity, deal with corruption, and also improve the economy. Then by the sidelines, there's a need to open the floodgate for constitutionalism and rule of law, and also the political space, so that there will be free, fair, and transparent elections. And in all this, in all good conscience, whoever decides to look at or critically examine this government since coming into power will say that it has given at least a pass mark. It has done well. And therefore, if a student is passing exams, do you relegate him to, if he's in Form 1 and he's going to Form 2, if he passes the exams very well, do you relegate him to Class 7? No. We strongly believe that the issue of next level, it has to do with infrastructure. Look at security, look at the economy, and look at anti-corruption posture. So far, so good. Within the last 3 years, Ibrahim Magu, the chairman of USCC, acting chairman, told us in this, told Nigerians in clear terms that it has prosecuted over 703 people associated with corruption. Trillions of naira has trickled into the coffers of the government by virtues of the anti-corruption posture of President Muhammadu Buhari. And today, in the Committee of Nations, this president has turned out very tall, very diagonal and perpendicular, as I used to tell you.
I was wondering, since I was wondering to hear if you were not going to say that today.
Exactly. So, just to rehash it, you see, honestly and sincerely, I strongly believe this is a man of character and characteristics, a man of purpose. And I strongly believe that this is a president that has done well in terms of provision of social infrastructure so far. Railways are there. Look at the electricity. In fact, in my area, we're even complaining the electricity is too much because bottles are breaking in our fridges. So, if you look at this government, I think the performance profile of this government has endeared it to a lot of Nigerians. And today, I think we have this sense of belonging. And for us, especially in the Northeast, looking at the issue of security, so far so good. The Boko Haram have been boxed from 17 local governments. Trickling down, they came into my village. They ransacked our chief, ransacked everywhere. They went into Adamawa State, where I come from, ransacked so many places. They would have come to Abuja. By today, maybe they would have been in Abuja. But God forbid, with this development, we've seen the president, we've seen the military boxing them to a corner in the Zambiza forest, although there's destructive tendencies, which we feel is so sad. But I strongly believe that this government has done very well in terms of security. They're in our place today. People are even living very happily, and they're even marrying more wives.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim.
Joy, I'm sorry, just to interject. Yes. Marry more wives. Nigeria's population is 198 million.
Some people say it's 200.
Almost 200, and there are concerns, about population growth. Modibo, I hope you are not one of those.
You see, when you have stability, that's when you marry.
All right, thank you very much for your opening statement. Let's go back to Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Festus Keyamo. Modibo touched on something that I think we should look into. He talked about President Muhammadu Buhari's passion for addressing generational challenges, and that has been happening in the last few years. Now, here we are talking about the next level, and I know that document focuses on 5 major key issues. How do you intend to execute that to ensure that this dream of the president is fulfilled?
Ogwe, you are talking about execution. Once there's a will, there's a way. For instance, in the midst of, paucity of funds, in the face of paucity of funds, crash in oil prices, crash in level of production in the last 3.5 years, where at a point it dropped to 700,000 barrels per day instead of the 2.3 million barrels per day. At the point, that oil prices dropped to $28 per barrel. In the midst of all of this, that was when the president embarked on these ambitious, projects, this very, critical infrastructure. Now, if he could do it, even in the face of paucity of funds, you can imagine with an expanding economy we are facing now, what the president would do at the next level. Because you are talking about execution of it. How would he do it? Now, it is obvious that the economy is on the path of growth. So there is hope that we are going to have more revenues to execute this project, these ambitious next level projects. Why am I optimistic? If you are a critical observer of the economy, you will notice now that for the first time in many years, this is the first time that a real intention to expand the economy beyond a mono economy has been put into effect. The rice revolution, the revolution in the agricultural sector, the revolution in the solid mineral sector is, gives us a lot of hope that going into the next level, there will be some funds beyond what we had, at the first term of the president to execute most of this project. Now, because of the ANCOS borrowers program of the central bank, 350,000 farmers now have access to small loans to expand their businesses. And so for the first time, we have an expansion and in exports, in non-oil exports. In the first quarter of 2018, we earned about 577 billion naira from non-oil exports. This was the first in so many years. In respect of the rice revolution, from statistics that we obtained recently, it has dropped so significantly. Import of rice has dropped so. I was looking at your adverts just before we started, and the concentration on homegrown rice now, Nigerian rice. It has virtually shut out imports generally of rice. Recently, there was some misinformation of the public saying that, well, there was one USDA, one US group that came and said, oh no, it is a lie. We're in fact importing more rice now. And when they were interrogated further, people interrogated them further and said, how did you get your statistics? They said, no, it was not based on any empirical analysis, that it was just projections. They felt because there was flood in Nigeria and some other things and all that, that the thing must have, there must have been increase in imports of rice into Nigeria. And don't forget that last week, if you followed the news last week, Business Day, an independent newspaper in Nigeria, did its own fact check. They did an analysis and fact check of that claim by USDA. And they discovered that the claim by USDA was completely wrong, because what they did, that they went to Thailand and India. That's what Business Day did. They went to Thailand and India, who are our greatest, importers of rice. And they took the statistics not from Nigeria, in order not to be distorted, in order not to be consumed in politics. They went to the statistics in India and Thailand, and they discovered that in India and Thailand, the statistics of imports from there to Nigeria dropped for more than 80% of rice into Nigeria. And that was when they said the claim by USDA was completely wrong, that in fact there is a rice revolution going on in Nigeria. So,
all right, Mr. Kayamo, let's pause you in the meantime. I would like to again step back a bit and just look at the general principle around the next level. And my question is going to Dr. Akomas. Is there a nexus between the people's expectations and the content of the next level?
Yes, there is. There is something that we have always talked about, but people seem to forget that that is key. I was listening to one of the presidential candidates talking about the issue of crude, oil, and all that, and other aspects of expanding the economy. And that same candidate had argued, rightly, I've expressed that before, that what drives the people and sustains the economy is not all these natural resources alone, but what the intellectual, how the people are able to harness and encourage intellectual, actions, innovations, creativity, and all that. And that was why I argued and said that my father told me that for as long as people are able to inhabit a place, live there, and survive, that place is viable. So when people say states are not viable, I wonder, because the real resource are the people. There are many countries in the world today that we know that don't have, that you can't point to any particular natural resource. Here is a government that is now, we've started, but now and on this next level document, you can see the, sharpening of that focus in innovation, in technology, in creativity, and then the aspects of training and retraining our teachers for what should be that retraining, training and retraining of our teachers, and the remodeling of 10,000 schools per year. Think of what will happen. That means if you do that, and I know that this administration, President Muhammadu Buhari, starts something and makes sure he drives it to a conclusion. 10,000 schools per year will mean 60,000 in 4 years. That is huge. This is talking about our future. You are not talking of just the structure. You are talking of also the quality of impartation that we go to our children. You are talking of giving grants and doing things that will make them think better, come up with their creative ideas, talents will be harnessed, and that will translate to what we need, because all these things we are buying from outside are things we can also produce ourselves. God has given us the people and given us the brain. You talked about 198 million people, and people thought, the concern should be, how do we manage this heavy God-given resource? When you talk about this population of Nigerians, you are talking of a quarter of the black race in the whole world. That is something that we must catch on, and what the APC is doing. And under this next level, presentation, you can go step by step. You talked about 5 items, but there are actually 10. And then under each one, there are sub-items. If you look at it, these are measurable presentations. It's not just verbose. They are measurable with figures. It's like, I present this. Over the years, 3.5 years, we've done this. And based on these experiences, we know we can do this within this period. And these are the numbers of what we can achieve. And I think with that, yes, there is an excess, and we should all work towards attainment of that.
Joe, I think I would like Ibrahim Modibo to also respond to that question. Does the next level approximate the people's expectations?
Well, in both, let us properly situate and contextualize the issue. Next level is about good governance, about stretching out policy documents, which has been translated from paperwork to reality. You see, Nigeria is a wonderful country, blessed by abundant human resources, beautiful flora and fauna. While you find intellectuals that are always newspaper tigers, they end up just on paper. When it comes to proper implementation, it is not there. But this government is a radical departure from the past. If you look at, since the coming of this democracy, we've seen how the past, which was generally deviating from good governance to deceptive impunity and monumental looting of the treasury. But this is a government now that has placed paper to projects. Are Nigerians happy? I will tell you yes. You see, President Muhammadu Buhari is a delight. He is a wonderful man to the masses and to the grassroots areas, but a terror and trepidator to the looters. It's only the looting class that don't like this man. But if you go down the level of the grassroots, you find out that people are happy when they see a looter is being charged to court. When they see they collect this, which under normal circumstances should go to the masses, which one person has been able to corner, that even his great-grandchildren will not even finish the loot, has been cornered by one person. Now Nigerians are feeling the pulse. They've seen a president that they have that the world over has been celebrating him as anti-corruption crusader. He has gone to so many laurels. And Nigerians today, honestly and sadly, going back to these farms has so much helped our youths. Before, we used to have just about 6 million, especially agriculture, especially rice production. We used to have only about 6 million rice producers. But today, we have over 12 million. This is by statistics. Looking at the TSA and what have you, this, the ability of the government to tackle this issue of TSA, where people steal monies, and all these things have come to play because the masses today, I think they have a government that is closer to them. And look at this railway. The issue of this railway is very fundamental. With just about 1,000 or 2,000, you can go to Kaduna. You can go to, look at the network of roads. Let us be sincere to ourselves. And even in terms of provision of feeding to school children. By today, we have over 24 million young boys and girls going to primary school having a meal. Even if it is one egg, it is something that is adding to their vitamins and it also adding to a capacity and propensity to capture the educational in their brains. But in those days, we've not been seeing even the schools. There were no roofs, no classrooms. Like him has said, a lot of the schools were just on the floor. They were sitting. So how can you get first-class materials from that environment? Therefore, I strongly believe that with this development today, with the next level, I think we are seeing prosperity in progress. We are also seeing evolution of a very near-perfect government that wants to place premium on the welfare of its people. And I strongly go to the town now and just make research. You find out that at least people are suffering. But we are suffering because we are trying to look at the future. People are suffering as a kind of sacrifice for our children, our great-grandchildren. Because the vandalism and economic brigandage that has happened in the past is no longer there. And therefore now, there's a layer of pipeline of peace and prosperity, of progress, economic prosperity, and also stability in terms of peace and progress.
All right, thank you very much, Ibrahim Modibo. Let's go quickly to Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Festus Keyamo. Now, in terms of managing our natural resources and this issue of diversification from a mono economy, I see a lot of passion at the federal level. We see improvement, we hear stories. Now, going to the sub-nationals, can we say the APC at that level is also keying into that vision? How passionate are they about this policy document of the next level?
Well, you see, it's an all-inclusive, effort. It goes down to even the states. Many of the states are also keen into this rice revolution. And I think there is a big project going on in Kebbi. There's also one now that the entire western states, they have also agreed to go into the rice production, the entire 6 western states. So it is an all-inclusive effort by, different spheres of government. Once the federal government leads the way, it also encourages other tiers of government to also key into the project. But one most important thing we've not talked about, really, in the next level document are the social investment programs. In fact, those are even the star programs of this administration in order to directly and immediately bring succor to the very weak and the very vulnerable, and also small-time traders. Now, in the past, it used to be that various governments, they paid attention, and half-hearted attention in many cases, to maybe the small artisans, and which are the small and medium-scale, entrepreneurs. And that's why you had programs like You Win and all that, fraught with all kinds of fraud and all that. But then this government went beyond these small and medium-scale entrepreneurs. There is a level of Nigerians beyond them, and those are the weak and the vulnerable. Those are the very petty traders. They cannot even be called small-time entrepreneurs. They are petty traders. No government has ever paid attention to the petty traders. And those are, for example, women who can carry a whole basin of tomatoes or some small items on their head, trek 2 kilometers a day to a market, and the whole basin is maybe 3,000 naira. All the items there. And maybe they will sell the whole basin for 3,500, make a profit of 500 naira, and go back that day and feed with that 500 naira. And so the federal government said, look, before we wait for the real economic prosperity, because these programs are they're stopgap programs. Real employment will come when all of this critical infrastructure come in place. And for example, the roads they are building now, the Mambila Power Project coming on, it will employ thousands of Nigerians. So real jobs are coming. But in the meantime, as a stopgap, these programs are providing succor to those so that people don't die out of despair now. So that's why you have, under the GEP, the Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program, you now have things like the trader money, the market money, the farmers money, where you have, for example, some kind of small loans given to petty traders. And as an incentive for them to have more loans, they should pay back. If they pay back after a few months, they move to the next level. So, for example, 2.3 million Nigerians have been caught within that web of the trader money, market money, and farmers money now, where if you have 10,000 naira to expand your trade, maybe a woman frying akara by the roadside, maybe a woman selling tomatoes by the roadside, she has 10,000 naira, she can expand her trade of maybe 3,000, like I mentioned before, to another, she can get 3-4 more basin of tomatoes. She can make more profit a day. From the 500 naira profit a day, 1,000 naira, she can move to 2,000 naira profit per day. And that's empowering people even at that level. Now, when she pays back after some time, she moves up to the next level of 25,000 naira. Now, you also have the Empower program. The Empower program within the social investment program now targets graduates, young graduates. So it moves away from the petty traders this time and say, look, for those young graduates who are waiting for white-collar jobs and they cannot get white-collar jobs, it seeks to empower them by training them in skills and small skills. Yes, and construction, health services, and all of that. And whilst they are training them, they don't allow them go hungry. They pay them as small as 30,000 naira per month. Now, that is not so much, but it keeps you alive for now. Whilst you are undergoing training in small scale and all of that, you get 30,000 naira per month. And after some time, you become independent. You cannot even employ labor. And we had experiences on TV where people went into poultry, they went into small-time craft, and they cannot employ 1 or 2 persons along with them. And they are creating employment even at that level. That is the Empower program. So, there are also 2 or 3 other levels of program, the conditional cash transfers, this home growth school feeding program under the SIP, caught within the SIP programs. Now, at the next level, the 9.3 million children that are presently being fed will move up to 15 million. At the next level, the Empower scheme that has 500,000 young graduates now will have an additional 1 million. That is the next level for the Empower program. Now, for the Empower, for all of these two, for the next level, they will have a supporting bank called the People Money Bank. The People Money Bank will then, provide small loans to artisans, farmers, and all of that. And they expect about 10 million Nigerians to gain from the People Money Bank. That is also the next level that will help and supplement the social investment programs. So there is something for everybody, like my friends here said. For everybody, there is something at the next level from you, from education to health to farmers, to traders. There is something. That is the slogan we are telling everybody. At this next level, there is something for everybody.
All right. Festus Kayamo, thank you very much. And indeed, the other guest, you just talked about Power and the stipends that the participants get to be paid, which is 30,000 naira. And that's what organized labor, is pushing for now as the new minimum wage. Right. You know, Joy, I'm sure that if that becomes a new minimum wage, then Empower will also have to go to the next level. Okay, so it's Good Morning Nigeria, still on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. We'll take a short break now. When we return, of course, we'll continue with the conversation.
All right, thanks for staying with us on Good Morning Nigeria. We've been discussing the APC's next level, talking about 2019. Now, we've got a couple of tweets coming in from our Twitter handle. Viewers have joined us online to discuss this same topic. So we'd like to read some of those we have with us here. Kingsley?
All right, so let's begin with Sani Makala-Markoji, one of our regulars. It's pretty long. It says, congratulations to the APC on the launch of another slogan. In 2014, it was Change Mantra with 3 thematic areas in focus, and now they have upgraded to the next level. They now have 5 thematic areas, and by the way, as Dr. Akomas explained, 5 broad areas, but you also have sub-areas. Sunday Makala-Markoji continues with his tweet. The question now is, what is their scorecard thus far before this next level? In Africa, particularly in Nigeria, it is common tradition that we are good at drawing up beautiful blueprints that are achievable, but our problem over the years is lack of implementation.
The next one is coming from Cecilia Okoroma, and Cecilia tweets, my desire is that the next level must have welfare of ordinary Nigerians, talking about social security as a cardinal point. And if you were listening in on our conversation, Festus Kayamo did talk about some of them before we went on our commercial break.
Michael Akpabio tweets, I love your program. I hope to see more of this.
And we have this one from Akin Dada. He tweets, while it has been tough in the last 4 years and there's no country that has experienced massive drop in income that don't have a tough time, APC government has recorded big gains in the fight against corruption, the economy, and the war against Boko Haram. President Buhari's government has laid a strong foundation, and the next level is to build a stronger Nigeria on the foundation through creation of jobs, massive investment in infrastructure, and human capital development. Nigeria shall be great again.
Ibrahim Modu Aje tweets that the next level of Buhari's administration will surely be a level of infrastructure because of the diverse critical infrastructure currently ongoing across the country, coupled with other aspirations and projections. Nigeria is surely heading to what we all yearn for.
And let's take this one from Ahmed Ibrahim Idris. He tweets, the reflection of our economy as of now by this present government is unbiased when it is compared to the previous government. Nigerians are more informed over economic issues. In the next level government, we expect more to be done in economic aspects.
Festus Akimboyewa, one of our regulars, tweets, now while it's been tough in the last 3.5 years, there's
that was the one I just
you just read that earlier. Okay, that's
Jack Solomon.
That's fine. That's great. Dele Jack Solomon said on evaluation, it's crystal clear that the economic blueprint plan and blueprint, the same thing, unveiled by the APC-led government will indeed address national needs as usual. But implementing this plan is always a problem. Now, the APC must go a step beyond its words to translate its manifesto into reality. Now, let's talk about hands-on experience. Yes. Let's bring in Dr. Chris Akumas, former Deputy Governor of Abia State. It's look, this is a blueprint. Now, how do you move the blueprint from what it is into realizable plans and therefore impact on the people and the country? From your experience as a former Deputy Governor, what is at stake?
Thank you. I want to remind us that during my opening statement, you recall that I talked about measurable and attainable, figures. And I also referred to this issue of experience, that in the 3 past 3.5 years, this is what we've done. And based on this experience, we know we can do this within these 4 years and it's achievable. There is something that we must give to the APC government led by President Muhammadu Buhari. Once there is a focus, there is the will. And I said here that he drives whatever project that he sets his mind on to a logical end. The will is there. What we have actually shown in the last 3.5 years is that aspect of implementation which we never had before. People say things, even in your programs here, I have said that people talk about, oh, you are talking about fighting corruptions, you are convicting people. These were cases that started long before. Why were those cases not concluded in the past 16 years? And you remember when I made the assertion that if you don't see my leg in the river now, how would the water carry me? Okay? So this administration have shown that when they set their mind to get things done, it is done. Implementation has been our problem. That was why TSA was in the cupboard and undone, but this administration did it within a short period of time. And initially there was that level, but we are now seeing the results. There are various things. I try to take things back home. There is what we call a bio-industrial city that is coming up. And the kind of support that is coming from this administration can only come from a government that has the will to do that. We are talking of made in Nigerian products. We know what our people are known for. We are talking of garments, we are talking of clothing, we are talking of textiles. And our textile industry collapsed over the years. And this government now is supporting various projects and programs that is reviving or that seeks to revive these sectors. These are very job-creating areas and the drive is there. So implementation, we have seen evidence, we have seen experience, we have things to show that implementation should actually be the name of this government, because when they want something done, they get it done. The results we may not feel now. I mentioned this urban industrial city because a cousin of mine called me from abroad and said, hey, I have been following this and I want to participate. I said, how do you want to participate? He said, please, can you link me up to the people I want to invest?
All right, thank you, Dr. Thomas.
The results of this will come, like we said, what we are experiencing now is the temporary discomfort that goes with making things better. And implementation, you can be sure that if not 100%, I'm sure APC will achieve 85–90% of what the next level have set out to do.
Thank you, Dr. Chris Thomas. Let's get Ibrahim Modibo's views on this issue of implementation. You heard from our tweets, you know, Nigerians are usually concerned about implementation because most times you have good policies, but when it gets to that point, we always run into challenges. If you look back at the change agenda, how would you rate APC government in terms of implementation before we talk about the next level?
Yes. I think the government under President Muhammadu Buhari, I think it has done well in terms of implementation of its policies and programs. I always get, I don't know, confused when I hear people talk of, this project has been started by PDP government and you are now finishing it, or finishing the project. They are talking about this railway. Railway has even started from colonial period. So it's not even a project of PDP. It's not. It is a colonial legacy. Some of these roads and some of these things that have been said, they are all blueprints from colonial period. So you cannot claim responsibility. Therefore, we strongly believe that this government should set up a think tank. I believe there is a need for this government to set up a think tank of intellectuals and people that know how to implement some of these projects and policies. We are never like, as I have said earlier, of people that write on paper, but the implementation is where the problem lies. But thank God, looking at government as a continuum, government is all process of continuity. I am so happy that this government, all the projects that have been started by previous administrations have been carrying on and they've been implementing. Government is all a process of continuity. You don't become a King Kong or tiger by trying to say, look, you abandon a very viable project because of political reasons. No, it's bad. There are some governors today that because they don't want to have the names of their opponents, political opponents, on the Sound of Times, they will just come and abandon a very viable project that is for masses and then start another one and then destroy that one completely. There are some that have completely destroyed the legacies of their former opponents. That is not how government is run. Globally, government is supposed to be continual. And honestly and sincerely, if you look at the issue of implementation, this government, I think it has to a large extent done well in trying to implement almost all the focal points that it has set standard to bear. Look at the issue of anti-corruption. Look at the issue of improvement of the economy. Although they made an economy that is almost in doldrums, a sleepy economy, a galloping economy, an economy that was in comatose. But they've been able to pick the pieces and then try to nurture it into fruition. As of the time when they came on board, what was the naira to a dollar? What was the fuel price? Economy was in recession. But you see, as of today, because of the managerial skills and entrepreneurial dictates of this government, we've seen that today, our foreign reserve has almost hit of almost 40 billion naira. So this is a very serious plus, despite the hues and cries. And look at the issue of security. If you look at Boko Haram has decimated to Sambisa Forest, and the issue of Niger Delta, the issue of bringing peace and tranquility in Niger Delta, this restless youth, it's a very serious plus for this government. And I think we have to commend the efforts of this government. Let it set a mechanism. As I've said, I'm making a proposal that this government should set up a think tank of people that matter, people that should look at all the sectors of the economy, wherever the blueprint have been laid, find people that could sit down, articulate their views, and bring it to fruition. And I'm sure, by the grace of God, every stumbling block will be a stepping stone to progress and greater promise for Nigeria.
All right, Ibrahim Modibo, thank you very much. First, ask Koyamo, yeah, what are the likely implementation challenges at the next level?
Let me just take a cue from what he said, because this is a very, important area in this discussion where you see some, opposition members always touting the fact that, oh, we started this project, we started that project, you are merely completing our projects. And I say, is there a manual, a political manual somewhere in the world that says that every government must start its own project before it completes project led by, predecessors? You develop your own manual yourself as to how you want to govern the country going forward. There is no standard anywhere in the world where they say you must start, complete, and commission project. That's what they have been saying. Show me the project you started, completed, and then it is the mentality of those who steal money to abandon old projects, start new elephant projects, take 70% of the upfront money put in their pockets, abandon that one, start another one. It is, in fact, what the Buhari government is doing is exposing the rot that existed before now. The rot in the sense that you had all kinds of litany of abandoned projects everywhere. And they are still proud. I mean, it's not shameless for them to keep pointing that we started this, we started that, we started that. So we had an era of start, abandon, start, abandon. This is the era of completion, completion, completion. That is the era we are now. Now, if it is so easy to complete projects, I ask a question. The Takbe, Ajaokuta Rail, was not a project of the pit, it was a military project. So throughout the 60 years, why didn't they complete that project? If it's so easy to complete, why didn't they complete the Itakbe Warri Rail that starts operation today? I hope you know that.
Yes.
It starts operation today. What they could not do in 16 years, President Buhari has done in less than 3 years to revive that rail. The Mambila Power Project, I hope you know that it was not a project of the PDP. Mambila started under the military. But there were all kinds of problems in the Mambila Power Project, legal problems, corruption, and all of that. In 3.5 years, Mr. President Buhari has removed all the legal problems in that project, legal problems, and they have signed a new project. Mambila is about to take off, and Mambila is bringing 3,050 megawatts into the national grid. So look at the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway too. For 16, I mean, that is the hub of Nigeria's commercial, commercial hub. Lagos, Ibadan, Kano. Kano to Lagos is the hub, really. For 16 years, it has always been, for more than half a century, a plan to link Lagos and Kano by rail. It has always been a plan. Successive governments came and left, no will, no determination, like Chris Akoma said, no steel. President Buhari has shown a single-minded determination to just get things done.
And while you are still on this,
yes.
I would like you to also respond to an opinion, which yes. I'm sure you encounter from time to time,
yes.
that the government is one of broken promises.
I mean, you don't say things without specifics. Because, you see, the opposition is very loud in sound bites. We are suffering. People are dying. We are boiling too much. When you now draw them to specifics, they run away. So I've always told them, don't make soundbite. Don't make people should understand that we are both running on records. The PDP is not coming from Cameroon, or these are people we know. They have a 16-year record. You know, before Chris Akoma got converted, he was with them. So he knows them very well. But he's a convert now. He's a progressive. Yes, I know. He was a progressive with them. But he's a convert. You know, that's on the lighter side. But the point is that they have a record. So Nigerians should not listen to these sound bites. These heavy sound bites they make without specifics. So for that, I want to draw them out. So please let us go to specific in terms of broken promises. Especially, and I say that, we must assess the government always in the context of the challenges they met. For instance, the GDP had crashed from 6% to 2% at the point Buhari took over. They had depleted the foreign reserves from 50-something billion to $28 billion. And so the economy was on a downward slide. It was almost crashing at the bottom of the hill at that time. I didn't say it. Their own economists and finance ministers, central bank, they kept warning that we are going downhill. We didn't say so. In the context of all of this, you will see that, in fact, what we have are promises that have been overkept, not even broken promises. I say this in the context of what they met on the ground. The Buhari administration has virtually squeezed water out of stone, because in the face of all of this economic crisis, they would have just folded their arms to say, we cannot even embark on any project. But in the midst of all of this, they were still ambitious enough to continue to complete the projects that they met. And if in completion of these projects and starting of new ones, you will discover that it also answers the question of the president does not like certain parts of the country or nepotistic. The first major airport that has remodeled and ready for, for use now is from the South, where he did not even get votes from, the Port Harcourt Airport. He didn't model the one in Kano. He didn't model the one in Kaduna. He didn't model the one in Katsina. It is from the South where he didn't get votes from. The Lagos-Kano rail that has been on the card since, he could have said, okay, start from Kano and start coming down south. He said, no, start from Lagos, from the south. And now it has gotten to Ibadan, the rail. So there's so much heavy sound bites going on by the opposition without proof. And I always challenge them. I'm ready to meet them anywhere, anytime. Let us go to specifics. They will run away.
Okay, fine. I'm sure that one day we will have opportunity of meeting them on Good Morning Nigeria, yes, so that they will respond. But yes. Mr. Skoyama, I would like to thank you for the views that you have expressed. Let's bring in again Dr. Chris Akomas. Dr. Chris Akomas, some of the points that have been articulated, I'm sure our viewers are noting all of this. But back again to the question of implementation. And this, I'm framing this question in a different way. What are the issues in the 2019 election? And to what extent does the next level target those issues?
Thank you. First of all, I want to say that my learned SAN has made very cogent points. I also want to remind him that when himself, Mike Ozekeme, Femi Falan, and others had to come to my rescue, I was not in PDP, I was in PPA, but I was a member of PDP from the onset. So those are issues. He knows why I went through that problem, because I have always believed that things should be done right. Not that one is a saint. And that's what I am saying, that once you have the will, you see, people tend to forget. Implementation is something that has to do with the decision to drive a particular thing to, to an end that people can see and feel. You can set up 100 committees. You can set up monitoring and evaluation systems. But if the will to drive it to a logical conclusion is not there, you don't get it. So implementation has been the problem, not just in governance, in everything we do, even in our communities. There are people that I know, and many people know, that they'll start this, they leave it, they start that, they leave it. And if you see a child or somebody doing that, the best thing you can do for that person is to say, hey, focus and get things done. President Muhammad Buhari and the APC is focused. There are so much work to do, so many things. And that is why, unlike people that, there are so many rabble-rousers that just talk and this thing. The APC did not just start a campaign without presenting something. Now these have been presented, and I'm also happy that there is also another presentation, the plan of another presidential candidate, and somebody also wrote a book. That brings us to the 2019 we are talking about. Something unique that people must know about is that this President Muhammadu Buhari is working for the betterment of Nigeria and Nigerians, and that is why those of us that are in APC sometimes will even say, why are you not, why are you doing so much with governments of, that are controlled by oppositions in various states? The target and focus is to attain and to achieve. And because the projects are for Nigeria and for Nigerians, he doesn't look at whether you are in party A or party B. And if we are sincere to ourselves, we have the records and evidence to show. Now, 2019, we are running on visible things. President Muhammadu Buhari is running based on what has been achieved within the last 3.5 years of this administration. The others will also run. Like I said, good at it this time. We have, this is not North and South thing per se. That's not taking anything away from my brothers and others that are running from various parts of the country. But the major two political parties have presented us candidates from the North. They've presented us candidates that are of the same religious faith. So anybody going that way now is wasting his time. And when we want to talk of implementation, let us go back to the 3-point agenda of this administration when we started. When people talk of security, they seem to have forgotten that in this Abuja, that Boko Haram was attacking sensitive places, police headquarters, those that we look up to protect us, were themselves attacked and shaken to the UN building. The roads today, people drive freely. The roads were blocked at every point. Nyanya, Madala, all these places around here, somebody had to work for these things to move away. That's just talking of what? That we have new security challenges that the herdsmen, farmers, these things, and kidnapping that has been there. That does not mean that work was not. I'm talking of implementation. You talk of the economy was down. I said that if what was done hadn't been done at the time it was done, Nigerians by today would probably be going to the waste bins to look for something to eat.
All right, thank
so
you very much.
So it was arrested,
Chris Akuma.
and the anti-corruption have always said it. Some people know that our money that they took, we have to bring it back. Some are bringing back, and countries that have our money are now negotiating because we have done things. We have signed bilateral agreements with some of them to get our money back, or the properties bought with the money, will back to Nigerians.
All right,
and that is not so. So if we have implemented faithfully the first agenda, the next level will be effectively implemented. And of course, the systems will be set in place to make it happen.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chris Akuma. We've got tweets coming in, so let's take them quickly. Kingsley.
This is coming from, it says, Comrade Ngala. These countries such as China, the U.S. and Britain invested heavily in education. We are expecting more at the next level.
And this one is coming from Katsina God Sesu. I hail the government for paying pensioners of NITEL, ETC, as well as the NPower and other social programs.
This is from Bulama Talba. Nigeria is progressing. Right.
And then the next one is from Law Alpha C. Any policy direction of any government that won't guarantee buoyant economy and provide jobs for the people will not be acceptable. Transparency, selfless service, patriotism, and honesty are some of the hallmarks of President Buhari's government.
All right, this another one is from Bulama Talba. Actually, there'll be a linkage between that first tweet. So Nigeria is progressing. Now, the country was on the brink of its inability to pay worker salaries in 2015, and now it's in the process of increasing the minimum wage. That's some huge economic progress. The next level should be consolidation.
And the last one is coming from Luke. He says the APC next level must include as one of its fundamental pursuits the issue of education. Education blueprint that targets attitude and moral change of our children in schools so that the next generation of our youths are upright. Thank you very much for your tweets.
Okay, well, we'd like to thank all our guests. Just before we sign you off, very briefly, because again, this is an issue I'm sure you must have encountered. There are allegations that trader money, not trader money as you pronounced it, it's trader money. That's what
trader money.
Trader money. You must bring it down to their level.
I forgot I was a worry boy. I wanted to funkify it.
Well, there are allegations that it is being politicized. What are your reactions?
Well, there are no proofs. And thank God you just said the allegations. I think it's giving the opposition sleepless nights, these social investment programs. And I want to say that it is part of the original, promises made by the Buhari administration. Remember, they said they were going to feed children 1 meal per day, that they were going to provide social investment programs to the poor. So if they are providing it now, what is their headache? If you don't do it, they will say you have broken promises. If you do it, they say you are politicizing. Where do we go from here? So I want to challenge the opposition. I'm throwing a challenge here now. If they are against the social investment program, against Empower, against this trader money and farm, they should come out and tell the citizens and risk their votes. They should tell them that they are against it.
All right, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, yes. Festus Keyamo, who is Director of Strategic Communication of the Muhammadu Buhari Campaign Organization, would like to appreciate you for being with us on Good Morning Nigeria today.
Thank you for inviting us.
Our thanks also to Ibrahim Modibo, political analyst, and also Chairman, Board of Editors of Verbatim magazine, always perpendicular and diagonal. Ibrahim Modibo.
Thank you, but honestly, what the President also has on the table for 2019 is transparency, honesty, and integrity.
All right, thanks a lot for that emphasis. And then also our appreciation also to Dr. Chris Akumas, former Deputy Governor of Abia State and a member of the Board of Trustees of the governing APC. Dr. Akobas, thanks a lot for being around.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so that does it for our conversation. Let's go over now to sports.
And that's our show for today. Thank you very much for staying with us. See you tomorrow for another edition. Till then, I am Joy Oseabo.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo. I join Joy in thanking you for tuning in. As you say, we're back tomorrow, same time, 7 o'clock in the morning. Until then, we'll have a great day.